1. Fragments of Silicon, now available in jagged and smooth varieties.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon, the Alpha episode. When we say that, that means we did a recording yesterday with a European guest. Right, also, we're doing a bit of a format change today, mainly because our guest is under some time constraints. So instead of our usual news interview topic format, we're going straight to the interview this week. And this time around, we're welcoming Dmitryi from Bandai Namco.
That is correct. It's great to be here, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Right. So we like to get to know the person behind, either the game, the studio, what have you, first. And we'd like to start off by asking, how did you get interested in video games in the first place?
Sure. So to make it a long story short, if you will, I came over here from Russia when I was 7 years old, and the one of the very first things I saw when I moved to San Francisco was a Radio Shack. Inside the Radio Shack, there was a PC with a game called Zaxxon. It's a top-down like shooter, and I was just like, in Russia when I was back there, we really didn't have video games. This was during the downfall of communism. We had like 3 channels on the TV, so we had nothing close to a video game. And that was the first time I've ever seen a video game. I was like, okay, I have to know what that is. I have to play it. And that's how I got started.
Did you get started with PC games or console games?
I got started with PC, and then when I got good grades in 2nd grade, my grandfather bought me a Nintendo, and then I kind of converted over to consoles, if you will. So my first system was a Nintendo system. I had Super C and Mega Man 6 as my first Nintendo games.
Those are some interesting choices.
Those are the ones that were hype at the time, and we needed a 2-player game, so we went with Super C.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are definitely some big 8-stage NES titles.
Yep. And then I was just addicted ever since then. Graduated to Super Nintendo, bought a Genesis, so on and so forth. Bought a PlayStation with my first paycheck when I got my first job. And just, I love the stories that you can tell with video games. There's things that you can do with video games that you can't do in any other types of medium,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how I got my start.
Right. And so junctioning forward, how did you make the leap into, the professional world of video games?
So how I got my start in the industry, also, long story short, I got my foot in the door working at, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, a store called Funko Land.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's a brick and mortar mom and pop type shop.
Yeah, I used to trade my Super Nintendo games. They're fairly.
Hello? Can you guys?
Yes. Hello?
A little bit there. So.
Oh.
Sorry, we've been having some technical issues all night.
Yeah,
to explain to our guests.
Yeah, hang on. He's. It's going to be one of those nights.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When isn't it?
Fairly regularly, actually. Like yesterday was pretty smooth. Something.
Call again or?
Kind of better. We can kind of hear you.
Bear with us, folks. Live programming.
Yeah. For once, it's not us.
Yeah, I'm like, it's definitely a problem we've been having with Dmitri.
If you want, I can try moving to a different location and going on a wired connection instead.
Maybe that'd work. I mean, you're coming in now. All right.
Yeah, it comes and goes, so it's hard to tell exactly what'll help.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me go over to a different location and see if that helps.
All right. Yay.
Apologies if this is causing any inconvenience for your podcast.
We've had worse.
Yes, we've had far worse.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, peace to your guests as well. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this
right.
should be better, but if any other issues come up, let me know.
Okay. Anyway, so you were talking about Funkoland.
Yes, so Funkoland. I used to work at a video game store called Funkoland. It's a brick and mortar shop. A lot of people know Funkolands. They don't exist anymore. They're now known as GameStops.
Yep.
So I was a manager there. We were like the #1 store in the company for Game Informer subscriptions. So I was there for the longest time. I didn't feel like I was really part of the industry. Yeah, like it was kind of my foot in the door, but at the end of the day, it was still retail.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to move further along. Luckily, by working there, I met a lot of people within the industry. I met someone from a QA lead from Sony. And he was like, hey, you know a lot about video games. You know, you want to try for a QA position. I got a QA position at Sony. It was temporary. I moved on to Sega after about a year at Sony. Also QA at Sega. Then I did a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to go through at Sega. There was a ton of different types of jobs. From QA to mastering lab, a bunch of different things. Moved on to their mobile stuff, and then they moved to Southern California with Atlas over there now. So I wanted to stay in the Bay Area still, so I had to find something here. Luckily, my boss at Sega, who you've had on the show before, actually, Stephen Akana.
Yes, we've had him on 3 times now, actually.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, and he told me about the job here as a community specialist. It seemed right up my alley, talking to people about video games, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I didn't think I was going to get the job because I had very little experience when it came to community and marketing, but I interviewed, and I had to kind of set myself apart when I did the interview. I needed something extra, not just a resume. I knew I was kind of like, I didn't have the experience, so I needed something unique. So what I did was I created a podcast, and I did a top 10 Naruto facts video that I brought in with me during the interview. And most of the people that I interviewed loved it, and they were like, "Hey, you know, you're something unique, something original. Let's give you a shot." And that's how I'm here now at Bandai Namco.
And how long ago was that? How long have you been working for Bandai Namco now?
It's been a year, so I'm pretty fresh here still. I'm still pretty new.
Neat. And so I suppose we should ask, what exactly does a community specialist do exactly?
For lack of a better term, or not a lack of a better term, but to keep it simple, I guess I would be a hype man for the video games. I post about them on social media. I create live streams. I talk to them. I talk to the people, like the fans. I don't want to call them really I guess friends of Bandai Namco is a better word for it. I talk to people that like our games at shows. I get their input through social media. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I'm basically the voice box for the people that love our games or enjoy our games or play our games.
Like, how demanding is that?
It's pretty demanding. We like to use the term "social never sleeps." So I'm always talking to people, whether it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm getting hit up by a particular YouTuber, or if someone needs a code for something, or somebody has an issue with the game. It's a really reactionary position. I always have to be on, so it's pretty demanding. Even on the weekends, I don't really get a day off. I'm still posting stuff on social media and stuff like that on the weekends, and because that's the busiest time. That's when people have the day off and are able to surf the internet and check out stuff about our games. So there's really no time off, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's pretty much my dream job. I love what I do.
That's good to hear, and it's like it's definitely a necessity in today's world, because we talk to a lot of people in the industry, and there's so many games these days, and it's kind of hard to get your game out there without any sort of promotion.
Right, and it's not just that. It's also I believe like social, I guess you can call it social media marketing is kind of the wave of the future. Having, people like you guys, like Fragments of Silicon or a particular YouTuber, kind of promoting the game as opposed to someone like IGN or GameSpot. It's more about like, hey, now the fans that play these games are promoting them. Like YouTubers are getting bigger than say like the press are, type of thing.
It helps because it's a little bit more of a personal recommendation. I
Exactly.
think.
They're not. I'm not saying everybody. I'm not saying like the press does it or not, but it's definitely a lot less pandering. Like when like a particular YouTuber that you watch or a person on a podcast that you listen to speaks about a game as opposed to someone from the press speaks on it. I think you pay attention more and you trust their input more when they speak about a particular game.
Mm. I suppose it depends on the YouTuber. Like
Right. Yeah.
Because I do remember like the Shadows of Mordor scandal or the Xbox One thing from a few years back. Now it's like it's not so much maybe the YouTubers, but marketing companies can be sometimes not up on the up and up about certain things.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I could tell you without a shadow of doubt here, like for the most part, all we do here is we give people the game. What they think about it is up to them. We let them offer the input. We just try to put out the best possible product. We don't try to influence them in any way or anything like that.
Right.
We just, give them the game and let them kind of roll with it.
That's good to hear. That's very good to hear. So we know you're in charge of Chroma Squad, but before we get to that, do you handle any other games for Bandai Namco?
I handle a ton of other games. I handle the Dragon Ball games. I handle the One Piece games. Several other small titles. We also have Get Even coming out, which is like this first-person shooter thriller type game. It's got a really interesting twist to it. We'll be talking about that more later. That's coming out, I believe, May 26th. So yeah, I handle those brands there as well.
Okay. But
That's pretty cool. Some of those are pretty, reasonably big names, and I know that there are some of them that we're fans of.
Exactly, yeah. Like, Xenoverse 2 has been out for a while, and it's got a huge community, and like the Dragon Ball brand, I mean, is well known all over the world, not just by people that play video games. I mean, there are football players and there are athletes and movie stars that like I think Britney Spears posted a picture of her son in a Frieza outfit on Twitter, just to give you like the depth that like the Dragon Ball brand goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dragon Ball's, I'd say pound for pound, probably the most well-known anime franchise or like anime manga franchise. I guess it could be arguable with like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, but it's certainly up there.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, I don't think even like Naruto's as big as Dragon Ball though. I guess it's kind of hard to measure those on rubrics, but yeah, Naruto's up there. Sadly, One Piece isn't quite there in terms of notoriety, at least in the West.
Right. I forgot to mention a few of the brands. Going back to what I worked on, I was like, I can't believe I totally missed these. It's kind of late in the day, so I'm kind of foggy headed, if you will. I also work on the God Eater brand. So the God Eater games.
I do like me some God Eater.
Yeah, who doesn't? It's an amazing series. And then actually one of the new ones that you guys have probably been hearing about is Code Vein.
Yeah, that's from the God Eater team.
Correct. Yeah, we're gonna have some more info coming up on that soon. I can't talk too much about it, but that is one of the other titles that I'm working on.
My interest is piqued.
Yeah. Everybody's is.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I'm certainly interested in hearing about that when the time comes. Cool. But I suppose we should get down and focus on Chroma Squad.
Sure, yeah.
So, for those who might not know what this particular game is, can you inform them?
Yeah, definitely. So Chroma Squad is a tactical RPG, very similar to, say, Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea, which we were talking about earlier. It's turn-based. The big thing that sets it apart is you play a Power Rangers inspired type team. It's got this beautiful 2D pixel art. It's been out on PC for a while now, but now that it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One on this Friday, actually May 19th, people are gonna be able to play it there as well. But yeah, tactical turn-based strategy, Power Rangers inspired. You're able to build out your characters, build out the mech. You're able to customize the Megazord type mech that's in the game. So yeah, it's tactical RPG, great, funny story from a small indie team.
Right. Yeah, I remember when I first heard about this game, it was actually called like Sentai Squad or something like that.
Yeah,
they had to change the name because, well, they ran into some problems with Saban over the name.
Right, yeah, I'm really not too up on that, but I do recall there was a name change involved, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so exactly what attracted Bandai Namco to Chroma Squad here?
So what attracted us was a couple of things. One, they're inspired by the Power Rangers, which we also produce games for. We actually just brought out Power Rangers Mega Battle. Mm-hmm. And that's another one of our titles. So yeah, they're like, oh, these guys are doing a Power Rangers inspired type game. We should contact them, see if they want to work with us. And sure enough, they were more than excited. So that was the first thing. That was the biggest aspect was, hey, this is the Power Rangers inspired game. Second thing was it's a tactical RPG, which we haven't done in a while, and we wanted something different, and we wanted to work with a smaller indie developer to help them bring out their title. So those are the biggest aspects. And then also the art style. We just love that chunky 2D pixel art. That's something unique, and that's something that we wanted to bring over to Bandai Namco. We don't bring out too many games like that. We bring out like higher, bigger Dragon Ball type titles, and we wanted to see how this does out on the market.
Mm. And some of it's a matter of like what genre works well with what art style, but
yeah. It's like given who Bandai Namco is and what Chroma Squad is, I can definitely see the pairing. Given all the not just like the anime license, but as you mentioned, you put out the Power Ranger stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it kind of was a no-brainer. It's like, oh, these guys are doing a Power Rangers type game. Mm-hmm. We do Power Rangers games. Let's contact them and see if they'll work with us. And sure enough, they love the idea, and now it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One, and I think it matched up well with us.
I definitely can see that. And so I suppose the question is, how deep is the mechanics here? Because like if we're comparing it to say like Disgaea, Disgaea is quite a deep game with a lot of systems and a lot of time to sink into that particular title. Like, I suppose to shorten it is like, do you have to be a hardcore SRPG fan to play this, or can somebody more casual get into it?
So that's actually the beauty of it. I would say it's not as deep as say Disgaea, and it's not as deep as like Final Fantasy Tactics, but it's still got a certain amount of depth. It leans somewhere in the middle between hardcore and casual. Like you can get pretty deep into it, but it's not something where like, you have to remember, different job types and stuff like that. Like you can customize your character, you can level them up, you can customize your mech, but it's nowhere near as like, say, getting a job class in like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, and it's pretty small squad groups because obviously you're playing as like a Power Rangers team, and you usually have like 5 or 6 people.
Correct. You've got a 5-person squad, and then you also take part in the mech battles, which the mech battles are pretty interesting too. If you look online, there's some videos of the PC version where there's like you have to time the button presses for the attacks with the mechs and stuff like that. So the battles on the ground that are tactical with the 5 characters, and then when you go into the mech battles, I keep saying Mac for some reason, mech battles, they're a different type of battle system.
Mm-hmm. Right, and
which makes sense. That's what it's kind of like in the shows.
Exactly.
For the obvious reason of you're going between people who are wearing spandex and people who are wearing very large robot suits that are not easy to move in.
I'm so happy to hear that it makes sense to you guys. I'm like, all right, cool. Hopefully, I'm explaining this correctly. So I'm glad it's making sense. Excellent.
Definitely. I've played a couple hours so far. Got through the first season, and it definitely. Well, here's the thing. It not only plays out like an episode of, say, the Power Rangers, but you've also got, well, the meta levels. Because it's not just about a Sentai team. It's about a group of actors playing a Sentai team.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So not only do you got all the fight the henchman, fight the big monster, go into the Megazord type stuff, but you also got all the behind the scenes stuff going there too.
Right. Yeah. You're running
and it's cute how the like upgrades for the mech and stuff are still presented in game as choices between like cardboard and tinfoil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all your like all the crafting is like rubber and paper clips and stuff like that. And also something we haven't really gotten to yet is the management system. It's not just about the tactics on the field, because it's tied into how do I put this? Every episode, for example, costs money to make.
And you have to make a certain amount of money based on ratings and stuff.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. You got it.
And these are further compounded, like later on, marketing is introduced, and you get to pick your levels of marketing, and costumes are your equipment, and it's not just based off of like how much audience participation you have, but it's like how much money do you have at the end of the day. So there's a bit of city management, like think Sim City in this game as well.
Yeah, like you have to convert the audience, and you find out how many fans you have, and based on that, that's how much money you make.
Right, and it really makes this game unique, because it adds that extra layer of immersion, because it's not just you are a Super Sentai team, but you're like the director of a TV series.
Yep.
And I do. Are there more and more systems added as you go along in the story, or is it pretty simple?
You pretty much. I mean, it sounds simple on the surface, but I pretty much think you've nailed it. Where you've got the management aspect, where you're kind of running a TV show, where you're the producer. You've got the battles on land, where you're fighting with the Sentai squad, or with the Chroma squad, if you will, and then you got the battles with the mech. Then you're also customizing your mech, and then you're also upgrading your character. So you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that the systems aren't separate. What you do in one of the episodes actually affects your ratings, like teamwork moves. When you do teamwork moves, they increase the ratings by 20 people. And finishing off the enemy with a super move will increase ratings, and following the director's instructions, which are optional objectives you can do in each episode, those will all increase ratings, which will in turn increase your earnings and allow you to not only make sure you cover costs, but you can increase your, like you can get better equipment or health insurance and so on and so forth.
Which in turn makes it easier to fulfill other requirements later.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's one thing that the development team did really well with the game, is they interworked all those systems into the entire game. So like you were saying earlier, by doing well during the battle or listening to the director affects your ratings, and that in turn affects the amount of money you make, and so forth and so forth. So yeah, it all works well together.
Yeah. So you know, it looks, you know, on the surface level, it looks pretty simple, but you know, once you start seeing how everything ties in together, it really becomes complex in its own way, which I really liked.
Mhm.
Correct. Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
I didn't want to scare off the casual fans of the game, but yeah, if as you delve deeper into the different mechanics, it does get a little bit more technical. It is an SRPG for sure, and in the purest form, it is a strategy RPG. But like you said, there's also management aspects like when you reference SimCity.
Right, and there's also a difficulty level switch. I admit I'm playing on casual because honestly, I don't really have all that much time to delve into an SRPG on a very deep level. But I should ask exactly what is affected on each of the difficulty settings.
It's the health of the enemies
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of hits you take. It's very like the effect. I mean, you'll see it right away. Like as like if you're playing on a higher difficulty, the enemies are hit harder and you'll take more damage. So it's pretty basic.
Okay, so it's not like more objectives are added. You know, like say on easy you have two. You'd have three on medium.
So I haven't played it on the final difficulty,
Uh-huh.
but as far as I can tell, no, there are no extra objectives added.
Okay. Uh, okay, so yeah, that definitely keeps things simple enough.
Yes.
Now, did Bandai Namco have any direct involvement in bringing this game to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, or was the development team left to their own devices?
We had direct involvement, so we actually were, we have a good relationship with Sony and Microsoft. So yeah, we were the ones that were able to bring it to the system. We were able to help the development team bring it over. I don't know if I'm sure they could have done it without us, but we were definitely, I would say we were instrumental in bringing it over to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Mm-hmm. Right, and now is this game built on a specific engine, like say UE4 or Unity?
That is a good question. I don't want to speak out out of context, so I'm not exactly sure what it's built on.
I think it's Unity because when I booted it up, it said "Made in Unity."
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, sorry, we get a lot of game devs on the program, so
Okay.
Natural instincts are natural instincts.
yeah.
A lot of times I skip those screens. So I'm like I'm kind of kicking myself because I'm like I do remember once he said Unity. I'm like, oh man, it does have the Unity logo, so I'm pretty sure. But I was thinking Unity, but I didn't want to say Unity, and then I totally blow it.
Yeah.
So yes, totally Unity.
Yeah, it's like, and I know there are people out there who have their caveats with Unity, given its reputation, but having played, like, there's no slowdown concerns or bottlenecking with Chroma Squad here. It helps because it's a 2D SRPG, no doubt, but I'm like, you don't have to worry about, say, a ukulele situation, for example.
Exactly. Yeah. When a game uses like simplified pixel type graphics like this does, it really doesn't have any issues with Unity. I haven't ever seen any slowdown in this game, so I don't think there's any in there. It's simple enough to where the type of game engine that it's running on shouldn't be a factor.
Indeed, it's just I knew, and we know who have big issues with Unity because of certain games that I could, like Ori and the Blind Forest is another one for the 2D set where it looks amazing, but it takes a lot of resources. So, but SRPGs are not a genre that typically tax a system for obvious reasons.
Right. I mean, once again, it's depending on the game. Like I've seen, some slowdown here and there, and say like Disgaea or even Final Fantasy Tactics on PSP. But due to the simplified nature of these graphics, yeah, there's no issues with this one.
I will say, if this reminds me of any game other than say Final Fantasy Tactics, I don't know if you know this one, but Hellenica Tactics. It's a game we did an interview about and reviewed earlier in the year.
It's called Hellenica.
Hellenica Tactics, yes.
Wow, and is this on PC or?
This is on PC, and it's very inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics. Only it's Greek myths by steampunk.
Interesting. Okay, man, you guys, you have actually stumped me. I've never heard of this game.
We had, like I said.
Yeah, I recall having fun with that one.
Yeah, it's like this is a lot of.
It has a lot of movement mechanics in the battle system, like where you can move things around, which is a thing that Chroma Squad does a lot with, like teamwork movement and stuff.
Yeah, especially that's actually one thing I was going to bring up is the teamwork aspect where you're able to kind of set up moves during the battle when you're playing as the Sentai force, if you will, where you kind of use these team up tactics, if you will, during the battle. Like once you finish a move, the other one will like get into a pose and wait for you to finish it, and then follow up.
Yeah,
which is good because that's an important part of that kind of genre is the teamwork.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's also really the only way you can do certain objectives. I found, like damaging the boss in the first round when you don't have any weapons that'll do damage.
Heck, in some places in the game, if I recall correctly, there'll be things like where you have to damage the boss in the first round, and unless you do teamwork, you can't get to the boss in the first round.
Yes. Yep. And they really want you to use the teamwork aspect.
Yeah, and another one is you can do team attacks, like double, triple, and even a complete team attack where it's basically your finishing move.
Yeah, and that's a little bit downplayed in Power Rangers, but in Sentai there's always a team up finishing move.
It's also emphasis on finishing move because one battle I actually managed to do that as the opener, and you actually lose audience members for doing an early team up move. Like you actually have to,
because it's cheating to bring out your big guns first.
Yeah, and now the audience has like nothing to look forward to. You're like, oh, you kind of showed everything right then and there.
Yeah. So I like how the game sticks to the logic of things. You know, the actual logic of a Sentai show.
Yep. I mean, just speaking with the developers, these guys are like, I thought I was into Power Rangers. These guys are nuts. I mean, they've watched pretty much every Super Sentai series from like going back to like the 70s. It's ridiculous. It's definitely a project of love for them. I mean, they love the series. They love not just Power Rangers, but the entire like genre of Super Sentai. You know, Masked Rider, Beetleborgs, all that stuff. They're totally like, you name it. If it has something to do with battling a giant monster, they love it. It's crazy the amount of passion these guys have for that type of genre, for the Super Sentai genre.
I wonder if they've actually seen Dynaman.
Which one?
Dynaman. Or
Dynaman. I'm pretty sure they have. I didn't ask him about that one.
The Super Sentai Dynaman, or is there another one?
Okay, so this one's actually going to take some explanation.
Oh, that was the first one that Saban wanted to localize, but he couldn't get the support, wasn't it?
Yes, but it got localized anyway. I don't think it was Saban. I forget who did it. But it was the first Sentai series to air on American television. It was a gag dub that aired on the USA Network in the mid-'80s. Not a few. There was only like a few episodes produced because apparently Toei was really pissed that they did a gag dub.
Yeah, it was on It was on the USA Network, right?
Yes. USA Night Flight.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Not too many people know about this one, but
I wouldn't be surprised if they did know about this one just because of the parody aspect of Chroma Squad. You know how there's a bunch of like little in jokes in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's definitely interesting. You know, speaking of like the Power Rangers, it's definitely interesting. Like the seasons that they take seriously that weren't so serious in Sentai and vice versa. Like,
Yep.
Power Rangers Turbo comes to mind.
Yeah, Turbo and is it RPM also that was originally a ridiculously silly goofy series that they tried to make more serious. That I think in RPM they outright took the goofy parody, the goofy kiddie series and made it post-apocalyptic, and it kind of worked.
Basically.
Somehow.
That's not even their greatest feat. That one is Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Jeez, wow, that one.
And that's the one that they changed from being completely the most fantasy Power Rangers series to being like it's the sequel to Power Rangers in space, so it's in space.
Yeah, it's basically one. Yeah, where they had a space colony because the space thing did well, so let's do that again. And it's like, oh wow, it wasn't anything that they were expecting, so they basically had to do a lot of their own effects from scratch. Like, anyway, speaking of Power Rangers, did you see the movie recently?
I have not. I was actually about to ask you guys about it. Working as a community specialist, I don't have a lot of time to go to movies. The last movie I saw, man, I can't even remember the last movie I saw. But no, I have not seen the new Power Rangers yet. Have you guys seen it?
I don't think anyone here has. Like,
yeah, wow. I want 2/1. I don't even know if it's still in theaters, but I have a really hard time getting to the theater to see movies.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I'll see it when it comes out on DVD.
Yeah,
DVD?
it's like
who watches DVD anymore?
Yeah, it's like
whatever. My mind has never really considered DVDs and Blu-rays as separate things.
It's always DVD. Yeah, I think we're in that generation where if it's a disc, it's a DVD.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a digital video disc. It's just one with a blue laser.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not gonna conform to your trademark, Sony.
Oh.
But no, I haven't seen Power Rangers yet. I'm guessing you guys haven't either. I don't know. Bryan Cranston's in it, so I might want to see it. But on the other hand, it looks terrible, and it had Kanye West Power in the trailer.
Yeah. Oh, it's also apparently it's not getting a sequel. Like it didn't do too hot. Like still did better than say Ghost in the Shell. Like,
oh man, that movie. I don't know if I want to see it. Like, I kind of read up on the, not to get off subject, but real quick, I read about the ending, and I'm not gonna go into it.
I think we could spend an hour just dissecting that ending, but
yeah, let's not.
I think the audience just spoke because apparently it's gonna lose Paramount like $100 million. Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
It's not even the biggest bomb of the season. That's King Arthur. Like,
there was a King Arthur movie this season?
Yeah, there.
Which I think is the appropriate reaction considering.
Yeah.
Gollix, it came out this last weekend.
Yes.
It's that recent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still, usually when there's a movie coming out, like, you hear that there's gonna be a thing, and I never heard of that.
Yeah, Toonami did a promo on it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
the proper term was more attempt.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to Chroma Squad.
Sure.
This thing. It's also worth mentioning. This thing also does things like Sixth Rangers. Like this, I came across one quest where one of the members had to leave for a dentist's appointment.
Yep.
And they were about to end the shoot, but they're like, hey, wait a minute, we can use this for storyline reasonings. And then all of a sudden some random fan shows up, and he becomes the Sixth Ranger. Like,
yeah.
You know, he's the silver, I forget what he called himself. Like, but yeah, it's like, you know, another big Sentai trope is, the addition of the sixth team member or more.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Some of them, like SPD, got really ridiculous with the number of people who got added.
what I always found ridiculous with the Power Rangers was the addition of like a kid ranger. You know, you have like you're going up against these huge monsters, and then you have this like little kid who's a Power Ranger.
Yes.
Yeah, there are only a few seasons that do that, and there are reasons why it doesn't usually work that great.
Yeah.
Right. I can
yeah.
see why they do it, because they want little kids to kind of relate to the Power Rangers, like, oh, I could be a Power Ranger.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the particular marketing dumb things.
Yeah, it's
that,
like
that seems like a good idea because kids will relate better to kids, but turns out kids actually like to watch, older, cooler kids just as much as they like to watch other kids their own age.
or it's also, if you're gonna do that, you kind of have to have the entire team be kids, like Beetleborgs comes to mind.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting, where they had all three kids. Like, oh man, me and my friends could be the Beetleborgs. So it was definitely an interesting concept. But guys, I gotta head out. It was awesome having me on. Once again, Chroma Squad, PS4, Xbox One this Friday, May 19th.
How much is it gonna be?
I believe it's $14.99.
Okay. So yeah, keep an eye out for Chroma Squad coming in a couple days for consoles, and it's out now for the PC.
That is correct.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for being on our program. Hopefully, we'll have you on again for a future Bandai Namco project.
Definitely, I'm always down to come in and talk about video games. That's like that's one of the things I love to do, is just discussing video games and breaking them down, and just it was a blast. I appreciate the invite, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
So, Petty Fan, don't play the music because it's on to the news.
I almost played the music.
Yeah.
I'm glad you stopped me.
All the news that's fit to print, or not,
Yeah.
because.
Yeah. Galax, will start with you because Petty Fan has to transition from Chroma Squad to Sonic and 3 and Knuckles.
Sonic and 3 Knuckles.
Don't start that, please, for the love of God.
And that's my new OC. Do not steal.
Oh man, yeah. Actually, are you sure you don't want to change the topic?
I think it'll tie in quite nicely.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had too much going on. Got a big all-staff meeting this Friday at work, so I have to get up a little early for that. But video game-wise, I'm just before the show. I downloaded the ARMS Global Test Punch thing because I'm interested in seeing how that game goes. I haven't had a chance to watch the direct yet because I was away from a computer with speakers at work at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to try to watch that after the show. I'm looking forward to it and interested. I hope it works out as well as Splatoon did, as far as a Nintendo series that is taking a genre and making a solid entry in it, but also kind of going, off in a slightly different direction. I'm almost finished with Breath of the Wild. I finished all the shrines. All I really have to do is upgrade a few more pieces of clothing and decide if I want to finish out my Hyrule Compendium with all the pictures and stuff of the animals and things. Yeah, other than that, there was a new Humble Indie bundle out, I think, today that I'm going to plug slightly because it has Owlboy, which I already had, but you
Go
should
play
get it if you don't
Owlboy?
have it.
Yeah.
It also has a few other good games, like Kentucky Route Zero is good. Let's see what else is on there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got that earlier today, and I recommend other people to play video games on their computers to check that out too.
Mm-hmm. And all right,
that's about all.
Was it my turn? We kind of talked over each other there at the end.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see. I had a dentist appointment earlier this morning. Had to. There's a filling in one of my teeth where they had made the impression for the dentures to sit in, decided to try to jump ship after everything was done, so I had to get that taken care of. Ungrateful little bastard. And I got my dentures tightened up a bit, so hopefully they'll be a lot more easier to handle harder food and whatnot. Though I still use the denture cream, so.
So they don't
Yeah.
try and escape.
Adjustment on
Yeah.
things that go in your mouth is always a bitch.
It was funny earlier, before I left, I had a huge sneeze and my top dentures decided to go out a bit. Like, sneeze so hard they were trying to shoot out of my mouth, and I thought, ooh. Like, I didn't put the cream in because I was going to the dentist and there's no point for that, but just one of those funny moments of like, here's the sitcom guy who just sneezes and my dentures fell out. See, this Saturday we're gonna go watch that new Alien Covenant movie. My dad and my brother-in-law. Because it's my dad's birthday on Saturday, so.
That's an excellent birthday present.
Well, we like the Alien movies, even if they are kind of crap most of the time, so. And from
Last good one came out before I was born, or something like that.
Aliens, I guess, would be the last good one.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on your view of Alien. You know, the director's cut of Alien 3. Like
I've never really seen that, but.
Well, I mean, the one they did for the Alien Quadrilogy DVD set way back when.
Yeah. I never really seen that, but. So we're doing that. Let me see, anything else?
Recordings?
They're going fine.
Have you dusted off Color Splash yet? Or
No,
is that...
this one's going to be a while.
Mm.
There's also going to be a lot of cleanup to do because we're going to have to go in and finish up the stages and try to find all the Luigis because I'm certain we skipped over more than we needed to.
Yeah.
But
has Naka used his new capture card yet?
Oh yeah, he's been using it for. I don't know when the first videos start coming up out of those.
Probably when it'll do 2 finishes up.
I think it's either been the last level of Color Splash or it's this upcoming level of Color Splash. That he switched over to them.
For those who kind of missed it, Naka got a new capture card so he could record in 1080p. I'm like, although I recall him having a lot of problems last time I heard about it.
Yeah, he hadn't said anything more about it, but...
Yeah. I guess he's over the hump, or...
he has to be, because he hasn't said anything to me about it, so...
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just guesstimating here, so...
Yeah.
And I'd ask him, but I'm not sure if I'd get a response.
Yeah.
That's more him being unresponsive on Skype more than anything else.
I guess
anyway.
Discord's better, but anyway, let me see. Getting closer to doing Alexander stuff. Kind of surprised how quickly that creeped up on me.
Echo makes this easy.
It does. It does. I'd almost be tempted to do it like without the echo, but at the same time, fuck it.
You still gotta try once without the echo. You must know my pain.
At some point, I'd have to, but because we did A11S last Thursday, and that is the brick wall for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Cruise Chaser Blasty does not really care for how much you want to get past him.
How many stacks did you get?
I got 5 at one point, but you got 5 as well, so don't talk shit because you got hit.
Damn it.
Yeah, you didn't think I was paying attention? I was.
To be fair, I'm not used to being at the back.
Damn optical sight bullshit. one is bait, one is Shiva, and the other one is go the fuck wherever. No, bait was go the fuck wherever. The other one's party stack. No, wait, is bait party stack? Fuck it. Yeah, did that. Actually did Naka's A10S run that Sunday. We were in that meeting, which was kind of fun. And also the Final Fantasy XIV trailer for Stormblood dropped with the Revelation song, and I've been watching that goddamn nonstop.
They pick really good songs for their expansions.
Oh, yeah, they pick songs that actually have a point to the story, so if you kind of understand what the lyrics are talking about, you can kind of get an idea what the story is going to be about.
Indeed.
Anything else? Well, the only last thing I can think of is probably come June, sometime before the expansion drops, I'm going to get a new hard drive and go up to Windows 10 because I think this poor thing is on its last legs sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had it?
Has to be like between 3 and 5 years old. So it's got to be at the point where it's just almost dead on its feet. So should probably upgrade at some point just to get it out of the way.
I think Newegg has a sale on hard drive if you're interested.
I might have to check that out because the one we saw was like a 2 terabyte one. It was like $60, and I thought, I guess that's not bad, but
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
it's not really bad. But then we saw Windows 10. And it's like if you get it at Microsoft, it's like $120.
Yeah.
And if you're a smart person and go to Amazon or Best Buy, it's like 90 some bucks. Which is like one of those like, well, fuck it. Why would I do Microsoft at that point? But yep, that's pretty much it for me. So Twilight.
Let's see now. Not too much going on this week. Me and my family had our garden plowed, which something we do every spring/summer. We'd be putting out plants out for it, for seeds. Well, yeah. Grow crops like cucumbers, watermelons, corn, and such. Part of country life. Besides having playing games, and that's about it. Petty fan?
Let's see. Monday I get to go talk to the surgeon about my knee, which that's going to be fun.
Oh, you got that all worked out?
I will Monday.
God, you were like on hold for what? God, how long were you on hold?
Well, this was more of a scheduling issue because both my parents went back to work, so because of that, they couldn't take a day off.
I just remember you tweeting about it. They were like, the last time I saw it, you were up to 20 minutes on hold.
That was a different doctor. I need to see a GI doctor about my acid reflux. Turns out they scheduled an appointment without telling me. And it was a day I couldn't go in.
Well.
So yeah, I got that straightened out. Let's see. Final Fantasy XIV was on maintenance. I've been playing Nier Automata. I beat the first route, and now I'm figuring out what the hell they want me to do next.
I caught up on Better Call Saul at that time.
Yeah. Also,
that's a game you want to play. Like there are a lot of endings, and the first several aren't like the true ending.
Yeah. We also decided to ditch actual cable and are now using PlayStation View for the most part. Like, we still have basic cable, but that's really only for like football and stuff like that. Everything else I can watch on my PS4, and it has free DVR. So, hooray, I can now save stuff.
Oh yeah, Petty, by the way, I got the Dark Knight sword.
Mine's better.
Yeah, guess what? You're off the list now. Whoosh.
No, the list. Let's see. Other than that, not a whole lot's been going on. So next.
Mildly
I
lax
guess-
week.
Yeah, I guess it's my go.
Yeah.
Let's
Yep.
see. Opened a new bank account this week.
Nifty.
Well, it's I'm doing something.
Get the free toaster.
It's more. I'm moving to a bank that's literally closer to where I live than I'm like fucking down. I'm like the bank I'm currently with is like a ways away, like a good half an hour. I used to live closer to it, but I don't, and you know.
Stuff and
I
things.
don't have to go. Yeah, it's like I don't have to go down to the bank often, but when I do, it's a bit of a trek.
Yeah.
So I've I've had to do that for certain things recently that I won't go into.
Yeah, I was about to ask if that was because of certain unmentionable things.
It is, it's like, this is a thing that I won't talk about until it's over with.
Right.
Even then, but yeah, it's related to that. I mean, there are other things there, but the big one is, well, one of the big ones is, my bank is like a distance, and there are banks closer, so
Let's go to the closer one.
yeah, it's just like there's like 3 branches on the way to the other bank. So yeah, it's just a matter of transitioning stuff, and set up the direct deposit the other day, but I have to keep the other account open to make sure everything goes through. Adulting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, can the world stop fucking going crazy for 6 fucking hours so I can get some work done?
No.
Yeah, yesterday was pretty nuts.
Like, the last week's been fucking nuts. It's like every fucking day. It's
What does
like
my gaming stuff say on Twitter? Okay, I'm not getting that work done.
yeah, it's like, oh, good. Another thing happened. Like, and by the way, another thing fucking happened while this show was broadcasting.
And one more thing.
Shut up,
Ay, ay.
Uncle, for God's sakes.
Who needs television when you have Twitter?
No shit.
I didn't think a presidential administration crumbling before our eyes would be this fucking entertaining.
Hold on, let me go get some
Scary.
popcorn.
Yeah, scary, yes, but I'm like,
It's
well,
like
I
a
guess
train wreck, quite literally. You
Yeah,
know
I
you
guess-
shouldn't watch, but it's too entertaining not to.
no shit. It's like, all of a sudden, I'm like, where the fuck did 3 hours go? This happened yesterday. I'm like,
Who needs CNN when you got Twitter?
it's like, good God.
Guys, I'm trying to get real work done here all of a sudden. What the shit?
Yeah, it's
Can
like,
I have a moment? God.
no kidding. It's like I have games to play and shit to review, and like, well, I guess that'll wait until fucking 2 a.m. when the world's not exploding with the latest revelation.
Sets a
it's like
Google
a
alert and your
Pentagon-
phone fucking speaker dies.
I turned off my push notifications. Thank you very much.
For
Yeah.
obvious reasons.
Yeah, I'm like, because it's like it's like every fucking time. Like, good God, and it's probably not stopping. I'm glad we're not doing the political show right now.
Oh,
Anything we put out would be instantly fucking dated.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway,
Could be worse if we could talk about Sonic OCs.
oh Lord. Yeah, well,
I suppose that's a good transition to our topic at hand. No,
That'd
it's
be
not
the best
Sonic.
segue to go.
Yeah. No, it's not Sonic OCs. I'm like, don't really want to ever fucking talk about those.
We almost went into that rabbit hole and said no.
What you don't want you're not looking forward to playing a new game starring original the character?
I'm like,
Donut Steel.
yeah. It's like, that's a thing that just is going to happen. I'm like, you just, wow. We're really doing this, Sega. We're really fucking doing this. You're going to allow for original characters. Do not steal in Sonic Forces. That's not what
Do
we
you
on
want
one
me to
hand-
play the transition
on one
music
hand-
real?
Enthusiastic Sonic fans, and it's even cool for some of the adults who are enthusiastic Sonic fans. But there's gonna be stuff that Sega is probably not gonna be thrilled about because of this. So
Am I back?
You know Sonic's coming. You know Cold Steel the Hedgehog is coming.
Pothead the
Big
porcupine.
already, so.
If you want to know what those things are, look them up.
Please don't.
Yeah.
although I think there will probably be some complaints about the fact that apparently Echidna and Fox are not among the selectable races.
I want to be
Well,
Tails,
I think
damn it.
Echidna makes a little more sense because of the whole Knuckles being the last one thing. Though the Fox thing's kind of a stretch.
Well, Tails is also a unique Fox, so if they made Foxes, they probably wouldn't have Tails' abilities. So
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, that's Sonic Forces. That's a nightmare in the making.
You best have loaded up that music, Petty fan, because I think somebody needs a break.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
ready to do it now?
Yeah. Transition time. I swear to God, when we picked this topic, it wasn't because of Sonic Forces.
That had not been announced yet.
Yeah.
I mean, the game obviously had, but the reason behind the tagline of "Join the Resistance" had not been.
Yeah. No, we're talking about Sonic 3 and Knuckles this week. This is actually more for petty fans who really want to talk about this game before he goes into the night. I know that's not happening next week, but it could be as soon as 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's also been a kind of a slow news week, so it was.
In gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, that kind of between the Nintendo Direct and the Sonic Forces thing, there's stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, ARMS. It's still too early to talk about because the game's not out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Sonic Forces, like I said, we do not want to talk about the Sonic community and the cosmic nightmare that is the Sonic community.
I'm a Sonic fan. I'm like, no. What have you done? God has forsaken us.
Yeah. They may not be the worst fan base anymore, but they're still one of the gold standards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so shifting away from that mess, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So, where to start with this one?
In the beginning.
Well, in the beginning...
in the beginning, there was no N Knuckles. It was just Sonic 3, the really big game. And then they decided, wait a second, we can't really put this all on one cartridge.
That's actually not the beginning. In the beginning, Sonic Team reunifies. If you'll recall, I think we mentioned this in both in our Sonic 2 and Sonic CD discussions. When these games were being made, Sonic Team was basically split into two. You had Yuji Naka's side working over here in the U.S. with the Sega Technical Institute making Sonic 2, and over in Japan you had Naoto and his team doing Sonic CD. After Sonic 2 was wrapped up, Yuji Naka and Sonic Team desired to return back to Japan because, as it turns out, Sonic 2 had a bit of a rough development of its own. A lot of language barrier issues, a lot of work visa issues, just a lot of issues, culminated in the desire to have Sonic Team, basically reunify and work on the quite literally biggest Sonic game to that date.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as Alex mentioned, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, they're quite literally two halves of a complete whole. Well, I suppose that's not quite true because you can play Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles separately.
But if you do, then Sonic and Knuckles is missing saving and the ability to play as Tails, and Sonic 3 is missing the first half of its story and its epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
Or second half. I forget which way it goes.
Sonic and Knuckles is the second half.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like... Yeah, so Sonic 3 went through what was, I'd say, pretty much the typical development cycle of about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's yeah, and also apparently an early concept of the game was it was going to be a top-down isometric game.
I'm glad that was nixed.
Yeah, I'm like, that's an idea that would come back in the future.
Yeah, they've made Sonic games like that. They are not the best Sonic games.
Specifically the Sonic arcade game, but that's a story for another time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it wasn't just that time was limited on Sonic 3. Costs were a factor in this because... So, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles as one game would have required a 34 megabit cartridge.
Yeah. I think that from what I heard, the Genesis could handle it, but the production cost would have been insane.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much that. We're probably looking like virtual racing costs here.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone remembers that game on the Genesis, that had a an extra special chip in it to handle the polygonal graphics. Think the Super FX chip. I forget what it's called, but it's a big card. It has some compatibility issues, like it won't work with the 32X. But more to the point, that game cost $100 when it came out.
And that's $100 in mid-90s money, or late 90s.
Yeah, we're talking like $1994 here. Like, they weren't going to have Sonic 3 cost $100.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So basically, what they did is they
split the game in half, but then made a weird physical thing that you can actually combine the physical cartridges to have Sonic 3 and Knuckles all in one piece if you buy both of them.
Lock-on technology.
Yeah, this unique bit of technology that really didn't see any play anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet Sega had actual patents for everything, but
the closest we got to this is expansion packs in the PC space.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's basically not just an expansion pack, but Sonic and Knuckles would be called a standalone expansion pack in PC lingo.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game you don't need the previous entry to play. That's the standalone part. but it's also an expansion pack because it connects to the other game.
Yeah, you get more
Or
goodies if
Sonic
you play
2.
them together.
Right.
Yeah, oh, right, yeah.
And as I understand it, the Sonic 2 thing was a happy accident.
Because they used, for the most part, the same engine.
Yeah, if you connect it to Sonic 2, basically it, I think, automatically replaces your playable character as Knuckles.
You can change it in the options menu, but by default it goes to Knuckles.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Whereas I think in Sonic 3, you can you play as Knuckles without it?
Right, Vanilla Sonic 3, no.
Okay, so Vanilla Sonic 3 just has Tails, Sonic, and Tails.
Correct.
And then if you add the N Knuckles, you can play as Knuckles too. And also Sonic 3, like I said earlier, it has a save function, which is neat for people who don't have, much time to play video games sometimes.
Yeah, sadly my completed save battery is long since dead.
And I suppose it's particularly relevant for Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is like a 16-stage game or something. 16 world?
16 zone, 2 acts per zone.
So yeah, that'll take some time to get through. Although they did also do a really interesting job of making sure that you can have Supersonic by the end of the first zone if you damn well please.
Not quite the end of the first zone, but second zone, yes.
Yeah, early in the second zone, I think. I think
Yeah.
especially in Mushroom Hill, there are like 6 special stage areas.
Yeah.
And big is definitely the word I go with this. Not just in terms of how many levels there are, and but the actual size of the levels are just huge.
Yeah. Like,
Honestly?
in Sonic 1, you could beat the first act in less than a minute if you know what you're doing. In this one...
And hold right.
Well, and also take the right route, but in this one, it's a good 2-3 minutes if you're really rushing it.
And there's also a lot of neat stuff, like, if you do explore, you can find neat things.
Yeah, you can get the special rings, so you can get the Chaos Emeralds to go super.
Yeah. Also, we should talk about the bonus stage.
Yeah, I just, for those of you who are watching the stream, I just did a bonus stage earlier. If you were wondering why
Yes,
the 3D thing was.
Yeah, the bonus stage that sadly has not made nearly as many comebacks as the inner tube.
It's so much better than the half pipe.
Yeah, the half pipe isn't bad or anything, but this one is really interesting.
Yeah.
It puts you on a globe, and there are orbs on the globe, and there are basically 4 kinds of orbs. There are blue orbs, which you are supposed to collect, and red orbs, which end the stage. And there are star orbs that bounce you backwards, and there are yellow orbs that jump you forwards.
And also, if you collect the perimeter of a area of blue orbs, they turn into rings, which you can use to get continues and whatnot.
Yeah, you get
You don't take those out of the bonus stage, but you still can get like continues and extra lives and whatnot.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, going back to the lock-on technology, if you attach a Sonic 1 card, I think it might be any
I think it's anything besides Sonic 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, you'll initially get like a rejection screen, but if you put a code on there, you will unlock a generator of levels. Which actually became its own standalone thing in various Sonic compilation packs. Like,
in the PC port of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that is actually a mode you get just straight up.
Right, or it's in like the Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, or the Sonic Mega Collection DX, under the name Blue Sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, there's just so many new things in this game. Like, shields have been upgraded.
The Insta Shield, which, if you're a speedrunner, you can break the game with it.
Well, yeah, there are two things. Every character in that you can play as, because this game introduced Tails as playable for first player. And it
Tails could be
introduced
playable in
Knuckles.
Sonic 2, but he was just a reskin of Sonic.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, in this game, everybody has a double jump function. Tails flies because Tails has always flown. Knuckle kinds of glides. And Sonic has a insta-shield thing that slightly expands his hitbox in midair and does some other weird things. But when you get one of the new elemental shields instead of just there's still the blue aura shield, I think, but...
No, that has been replaced.
Oh, there isn't? Okay. But yeah, there are elemental shields. There's a fire shield that protects you from fire. There's a bubble shield that lets you breathe underwater. And there's a lightning shield that collects rings towards you from a distance. And for Tails and Knuckles, that's all they do. But Sonic, they replace his insta-shield with
some sort of
different types of double jump.
Yeah. The electric shield is a actual double jump. The flame shield is kind of a primordial homing attack.
It's an air dash, basically.
Well, but if you're close enough to an enemy, you can actually kind of home.
Oh, you can? I didn't know that.
It's kind of finicky, but it works.
And the bubble shield slams you into the ground, and then you go up higher than you slammed from, usually.
Yep.
Or at least higher than your usual jump height.
Right.
And, geez, let's see.
So yeah, for a Sonic game, it has a lot of mechanical innovations compared to Sonic 2.
It's a whole lot more different than what they did between Sonic 1 and Sonic 2.
And there are some parts of each level that basically are not designed to be able to be accessed by all of the playable characters.
Right.
Specifically, Knuckles has areas that Sonic and Tails can't get to generally. Because Knuckles has the ability to punch through walls and climb walls, punch through some walls.
Yeah, so Knuckles' campaign is actually significantly different than Sonic's.
A lot of people call it the hard mode, but that was actually the first campaign I beat.
Yeah, Knuckles compensates for his gliding and being able to climb walls with having a lower jump, and I don't think his speed is actually lower, but it sometimes feels like it, which can
It's
make
because of the
certain
route
things more
Knuckles has to
challenging.
take. He does a lot more jumping and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And there's... Wait, is it in... I might be thinking of the Sonic 2 part. Isn't there one of the bosses that's in like a half pipe that's half underwater?
Yes, that is Sonic 3. It's
Okay,
actually
yeah,
the first boss of the underwater area.
Yeah, Sonic can get air just by jumping in that boss fight. Knuckles can't.
Yeah. Knuckles is all but screwed if you don't climb up the wall.
Yeah, and
or spin dash up.
Yeah, and it's not always easy to get high enough on the wall to climb. Spin dashing is pretty much how I think you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Knuckles gets an exclusive boss in Marble Garden.
Because he can't fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also,
and this is also the game that introduced the Egg Robo.
Yeah, yes. Egg Robo is Knuckles' opponent in this game.
Yeah, because
remember, Dr. Eggman / Robotnik has gotten Knuckles to believe that he's trying to save the floating island from Sonic.
Actually, Knuckles' adventure takes place after Sonic's.
Yeah.
And you can tell this because in what's the one before Sky Sanctuary?
The sub-stage or the actual...
The zone, the cave level.
Crap. Lava Reef?
Yeah. In the Lava Reef zone, when you fight the boss, you can see the Death Egg. And here's the thing. In Knuckles' campaign, the Death Egg is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, outside of one instance, all of the Dr. Eggman sprites were replaced with Egg Robo. There is like one area where they got lazy or they forgot or something
Actually, I think you still fight Eggman a little bit in Sky Sanctuary.
like that. Maybe I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a while. I'd have to go probably look up a video on that.
Also worth noting in the combined Sonic 3 and Knuckles, there are now for Sonic 2 layers of power-ups. You do get Supersonic, but if you get the I'm trying to remember
Super
the Hyper
Emeralds.
Super.
Yeah, the Super Emeralds.
Yeah, in Sonic, if you complete Sonic 3 of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, having gotten Supersonic, then you can get what is it, Ultrasonic?
Hyper.
Hypersonic.
Huh?
Hypersonic.
Hypersonic?
Yeah. And the difference between Supersonic and Hypersonic is Hypersonic can do the electric shield thing and gather rings.
And also he has fancy rainbow flashy colors.
Right.
Yeah. I think he also has a jump dash.
Yeah. I'll admit, it's kind of a pain to get Hypersonic.
Yeah, because if you go through the rings to activate the thing to get Hypersonic, you can no longer use Super.
But you can't use Supersonic anyway, can you?
You can use Supersonic when you get 50 rings.
I thought you lost the normal Chaos Emeralds at the
Yeah,
beginning.
that's what I meant. You lose the power to get Super if you go for the Hyper Emeralds or the Super Emeralds.
Right.
And there's Hyper Knuckles.
Yes.
Who is a little bit pinker.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what he did exactly.
Shockwaves whenever he glides into things.
There we go. Yeah, I'll be honest. Knuckles
got
kind
you.
of got the short end of the upgrade stick there.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well,
like,
and then Tails is it Super Tails?
yeah, it's Super
yeah.
Tails. Tails only has one level of upgrade,
Yeah.
but he's
And he
probably
he looks exactly the same, but I think he has an orbital flicky shield.
yes.
And the Flickies will attack enemies. So, debatably, he has actually one of the best supers since he can already fly.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah. So yeah, everyone gets a power up, even Tails. Like, really, this is the only time Tails and Knuckles ever got a power benefit from the Chaos Emeralds.
Do we want to talk about Sonic Heroes?
I'm talking individually.
Ah.
You know, Sonic Heroes is all team based, so
Yeah.
you know, you still got Sonic there.
Right.
So
Hopefully they bring back Supersonic or Hypersonic, Super Tails, you know, all of that in Sonic Mania.
possibly, but yeah,
You'd have to
It's
have
also
a pretty long game to justify that, because the only reason why it worked in this is because you go through, like, that's literally, okay, you got Supersonic in the first game, here's the next level.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting that you won't get the true end of the campaign without combining the two games.
Right. And you have to
but-
either be real sneaky and hold the Chaos Emeralds all throughout, or you have to get the Hyper Emerald or Super Emeralds.
Mhm. Because this is the game that introduced the supersonic fly stage.
Yep.
It's like, I'm not sure if it has like a formal name, but you know, like, you should know this one by now because it's been used in a shit ton of Sonic games. You know, it's like, you know,
I think almost everyone after it except for Lost Worlds.
And it's kind of the Supersonic only final boss stages is kind of an extension of that.
Mm-hmm.
right.
The way that you only get Supersonic for the final boss in, like, Adventure and stuff.
Right.
But that wasn't a thing in Sonic 3, though.
Yeah, Sonic 3.
Right. No, I'm saying that's
After
like
you
an
have the
extension of
emeralds and get 50 rings, you're good. Have fun. Go wreck the stage.
Yeah, but there is a special final boss that you get if you have Supersonic or Ultrasonic.
I suppose we should talk about the story.
Oh. I don't remember if
Is
this takes
Dr.
place
X
right after Sonic 2, but basically,
The
Sonic.
Death Egg hasn't been cleaned up yet.
Yeah.
The Death Egg has crashed onto Angel Island. Probably at this point one of the most famous Sonic locations. This is also the game that introduced the rival character. It's like
remember, Knuckles was the edgy rival anti-hero character before Shadow was even a glimmer in whoever the hell invented Shadow's eye.
Knuckles the Echidna is the original rival character. In this case, Knuckles is basically stupid.
Original rival character, do not steal.
Eggman manages to convince Knuckles that Sonic is the real threat to the emeralds that he's guarding on Angel Island that keep the island afloat and stuff.
Well, all Knuckles cares about is the Master Emerald.
Right.
He doesn't give a crap about the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, with all of his great diplomacy and bluffing ability, Eggman manages to convince Knuckles to fight Sonic. It's not hard.
Knuckles, is that the Master Emerald? Yes. What is that over there? Huh? Yoink.
Sonic took it.
Yeah.
While you were looking.
While he's actually holding it in his hands.
Yeah.
Sonic took it from you. This is a different emerald. In fact, this is actually a ruby.
Yes, this is the level of lying that it seems to take to get Knuckles to believe that.
Spoilers, it becomes a trope throughout the entire series.
Yup.
You think Sonic Boom was kind of exaggerating it?
They actually was kind of underplayed compared to classic
smart
Knuckles.
At some things, but he's really gullible about threats to the Master Emerald.
Well, it's his charge.
But yeah, basically, Sonic and Tails go to Angel Island, and when Sonic goes super to get onto the island, Knuckles basically jumps him and takes the Chaos Emeralds. And then you're basically looking for Robotnik, looking for the Chaos Emeralds, and wondering what the hell Knuckles is doing. And
because Knuckles keeps knocking Sonic throughout the game onto different paths.
Yes.
Like you walk up to a dead end and you like, oh, I could go through here. I could go forward if it wasn't a dead end, and then Knuckles shows up on the other end of the dead end and like flips a switch and Sonic gets blown sky high.
Like, for those of you who just watched the Underwater Zone I did, Knuckles actually threw me to a different path. So, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, another thing that this game kind of introduced is almost every zone has a boss at the end of Act 1, if I remember.
Yes. There are two bosses per zone. A mid-boss and then Robotnik.
Yeah. It also shortened the act structure. There are only 2 acts per level instead of the 3 acts.
Right.
I think that was in Sonic 2.
It was, but except for Metropolis zones.
Yeah.
Still 3 acts. This is the first one to have a much more concise and uniform structure.
And they also did a neat thing where it's not like a completely new thing to get to Act 2 of a zone. Instead, it's like you get to the end of the first zone, and then after the score thing goes, the camera pans right, and you see the beginning of the second act, and the music changes a little.
Yeah.
The music can actually change pretty drastically, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, although that depends on the zone. Like
Yeah.
Angel Hill changes a lot, but that's also because it's on fucking fire.
Yeah, the first boss, first zone mini boss, causes a massive forest fire.
Yeah. Sonic 3 is also the introduction to a lot of sound effects and musical tracks that'll stay with the series. That has to do with the composer of Sonic 1 and 2 actually owns the copyrights to the music in those games, which is actually why Sonic 1 and 2 got pulled from the Virtual Console some time ago. I'm like...
I think they've been trying to at least get Green Hill Zone because that's iconic.
Wouldn't surprise me. But I'm like, good luck with that. I'm like, though speaking of the music, there's the famous Michael Jackson rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the status of that ended up being, but there are some musical similarities.
Given all the evidence, it's been confirmed as much as it will be confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirm it for whatever reason. I'm like, but yeah, Michael Jackson did some work on the soundtrack, most notably Carnival Night Zone, which is odd because I think that that's one of the worst music tracks in the game. I just hate Carnival Night Zone in general, and not for the reasons that most people do. I suppose we should talk about this.
You were never defeated by the barrel?
No, because I knew how they worked. Like, I never like hit it up and down, you fucking morons.
Whose is that? There was someone who did a Let's Play of Sonic 3 who did like introductions for all of the actual bosses, and also did one for like the barrel.
I know what you're
difficulty rating of 0.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it, but I don't remember who did that. Like,
there's a barrel, and actually the thing is that I think a lot of it's a barrel that sort of moves up and down, and you have to get it to go a certain amount of up or down to progress. People a lot of the time try to jump on it, whereas I believe you have to stand on it and look up and down.
Yeah. Like, I never got defeated by these, I don't know.
Otherwise, it's a little bit of a weaker implementation of the casino pinball stage theme.
Yeah.
Compared to Casino
Night. Anyway, I suppose we could go on and on with Sonic 3, but we should really wrap it up. Like, what, 10:36 here?
I want Mac to be upset.
Yeah. So, final thoughts on Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
I guess whether or not it's the best of the 3 classic Sonic games is up to debate, but I think it is pretty unarguable that it is the most fully featured, and it has a lot of neat things that the other ones don't. Although the balance is maybe the level design isn't quite as good as Sonic 2's, I guess, in some places.
Okay. Like, all right. So I think that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Coming up on MSP, Petty Fan? Petty Fan? Hello?
Can't hear you.
Is he like setting up for the next thing?
He just asked if we can hear him, and I said no.
Ooh. I bet Skype's going wonky wonks with him again.
Uh-oh.
Press the buttons, Patty.
So while Petty Fan works on that, first up, the Fragments Silicon schedule for the week ahead.
Am I back?
Yes.
There you are.
Uh-huh.
All right. Petty Fan, MSP, guest, go.
Our guest just confirmed it is Jake Williams of Bright Sun Films. He does the YouTube series called Abandoned and a few other things about various abandoned businesses that have collapsed over the years.
Hopefully, we'll actually have him on the program, unlike last week.
Yeah, he just confirmed he's actually poking me on Skype at the moment.
Okay. All right. And so the week ahead on Silicon. This Sunday, we will have reviews of Chroma Squad and The Blob. See, next week, we do not have a Tuesday interview. So you guys get to sleep in that Tuesday.
Yay. Not that it stopped me this past.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Next Wednesday, May 24th, we will have Daniel Krockenberg of Faux Operative Games on the program. They just put out a new roguelike adventure game called Ruin of the Reckless. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you are as well. And until next time, I wish you good gaming.